Caleb Stone stood in the December snow, staring at the woman who'd just collapsed at his feet. Her lips were blue. Her dress, what was left of it, hung in patches stitched with thread that didn't match. She'd walked the last 2 miles through a blizzard because the stage wouldn't take her further without payment she didn't have. His 7-year-old daughter whispered behind him, "Papa, is she dead?" The mail-order bride he'd sent for had arrived. Barefoot, starving, worth nothing by any measure that mattered to his neighbors. He was about to learn he'd been measuring wrong his whole life. Before we begin, if you're watching from anywhere in the world, hit that subscribe button and stay with us until the very end. Comment below with your city so I can see how far Caleb and Abby's story travels. Now let's begin. The wind came down from the Rockies like God's own punishment. Caleb felt it through wool, through leather, straight to bone. He stood on his porch, watching the road disappear into white. 3 days. The stage was 3 days overdue. Behind him, Lucy pressed her nose to the frosted window. "Papa, I see something." "It's snow, baby girl, just snow." "No, Papa, something's moving." Caleb turned, squinted into the storm. A shape stumbled on the road, went down, didn't get back up. Christ! He was running before thought caught action. His boots punched holes in fresh powder. 20 yards. 10. A woman on her hands and knees, shaking so hard her whole body convulsed. Her dress was brown, or had been. Now it was scraps held together with hope and thread that didn't match. No coat, no gloves. Hair frozen to her skull in auburn ropes. She looked up. Gray-green eyes in a face white as the snow beneath her. "Mr. Stone." His stomach hit the ground. "I'm sorry I'm late. The stage they wouldn't, I had to walk." Her words scattered. She tried to stand, her legs folded. Caleb caught her before she went down. She weighed nothing. Through threadbare fabric, he felt every rib. "How long since you ate?" "I'm fine. Just need to, I can walk if..." "How long?" Something in his voice made her stop fighting. 2 days. Jesus Christ. He lifted her. She pushed against his chest with hands that had no strength left. "Mr. Stone, please. I won't start by being burden. Put me down. You can freeze in my yard. That what you want?" Her mouth snapped shut. Caleb kicked the porch steps clear and shouldered through the door. Heat from the fireplace slammed into them both. The woman in his arms gasped. Lucy stood in the center of the room, eyes wide as silver dollars. "Papa, you found her." "Lucy, that chair by the fire. Move it closer." His daughter scrambled. Caleb set the woman down. She tried to stand immediately. "I'll get snow on your furniture." "Sit down." Steel in his voice. She sank back. Her whole body shook now that motion had stopped. Lucy appeared with a blanket. "Here, Papa. Mama's favorite." Caleb took it, wrapped it around thin shoulders. The woman clutched it with fingers gone white at the tips. Frostbite, maybe. "Thank you." Her voice steadied some. She looked at Lucy, managed a smile that cost her. "You must be Lucy. Your father wrote you were the brightest star in his sky." Lucy lit up like sunrise. "You said that, Papa." Heat climbed Caleb's neck. He had said that. First letter when he'd still believed words could change anything. "I'll make coffee." He escaped to the kitchen. Through the doorway he watched them. Lucy perched on the floor, chattering. The stranger leaning toward fire, like a flower toward sun. "Are you really going to be my new mama?" "Papa said maybe you would. He said you were a teacher in Boston and knew lots of things. Do you know stories Mama used to tell stories before bed? She knew one about a princess and a pea. Do you know that one?" Caleb's hands stilled on the coffee pot. "I do know that story." The woman's voice was gentle but firm. "But you should know something, Lucy. I'm not here to replace your mama. Nobody could do that." The chattering stopped. "Then why are you here?" Caleb held his breath. Long silence. When she spoke, her voice carried weight that made his chest tight. "I'm here because I lost everything that mattered. My father died. My home was sold. My life in Boston ended." Pause. "Your papa wrote he had a home that needed tending and a little girl who needed care. He said he couldn't promise luxury, but he could promise honest work." That sounded like something worth walking toward. "Did you love your papa?" "Very much." "I loved my mama very much too." Lucy's voice went small. "She died when the baby was coming. The baby died too. Papa doesn't talk about it." The coffee pot hit the stove harder than Caleb meant. Both of them jumped. He poured 3 cups, one for him, one for the stranger. Milk in a small cup for Lucy. She liked pretending it was coffee. When he returned, the woman was studying her hands. Raw. Work roughened. Not hands that had lived easy. "Miss Hartford." He held out the cup. She looked up, met his eyes straight on. Young. Younger than he'd expected. Late 20s, maybe. Fine features under the gauntness. And those eyes storm-colored, clear, direct. "Thank you, Mr. Stone." Her fingers brushed his, taking the cup. Ice cold. He pulled back. Took the chair across from her. Lucy settled between them with her milk coffee sipping like a lady. Silence except for firecrackle. Caleb knew he should speak. Welcome her. Ask questions. Instead, he looked. The dress was worse up close. Patches on patches. Some stitched so careful they near disappeared. Others rough and obvious. Hem caked with mud and snow. Her shoes, Christ. Her shoes were held together with twine. This was the woman who'd written about teaching bankers' daughters. Who'd quoted Emerson in her second letter. Who'd signed "Yours in Faith Abigail Hartford," like faith was something she owned. "Mr. Stone." She set down the cup. "I can see what you're thinking." "Can you now?" "You're wondering what kind of woman arrives looking like a beggar." Lucy gasped. "You're not a beggar, Miss Abby." "That's kind, sweetheart." "It's true." Lucy turned to Caleb. "Tell her papa. Tell her she's not." Caleb said nothing. Abigail stood. The blanket fell from her shoulders. She swayed but caught herself on the chair. "Mr. Stone, you deserve an explanation." "I reckon I do." "Papa!" Lucy's voice went sharp. "That's rude. Lucy, go to your room." "But—" "Now." His daughter's face crumpled. She looked at Abigail like she wanted to argue. Thought better of it. Her footsteps heavy on the boards as she left. Door clicked shut. Caleb leaned forward, elbows on knees. "Talk." Abigail's spine straightened. Even exhausted, even half-frozen, she had bearing. Quality, his mother would have called it. Thing you couldn't buy or fake. "My father was a bank manager in Boston. Respectable work. It was, until he started stealing from his own bank." Caleb went still. 3 years of embezzlement. Thousands of dollars. Her voice didn't shake. Gambled it all away. Cards, horses, bad investments. And when they found out, he was already dead. Laudanum left me to clean up the mess. You didn't have to. His victims did nothing wrong. They deserved their money back. So you sold everything. Everything. The house, furniture, my mother's jewelry, every book I owned. She met his eyes. "I paid back every cent." "That's a damn fool thing to do." "Maybe. But I sleep at night." Caleb sat back. "You could have run, changed your name, gone west where nobody knew you." "I could have. I didn't." "Why not?" "Because my father's mistakes weren't mine to make." She lifted her chin. "But his debts were mine to pay. I won't apologize for choosing honor over comfort." The words hit like a fist. He thought of Sarah. Her family had wanted her to marry a Philadelphia banker. She'd chosen him instead. Broke rancher heading to Montana. He looked away. My wife said something like that once. She sounds like a woman who knew her own mind. She was. His voice roughened. Got her killed. I'm sorry. Don't be. Wasn't your doing. Silence stretched. Outside wind howled. Inside fire popped and hissed. So you answered my advertisement, Caleb said finally. I did. I'd lost my teaching position. School board decided a woman from a disgraced family was unsuitable. Bitterness crept in. I had no prospects, no family. Your advertisement offered a home and honest work. Seemed like Providence. Providence. He laughed without humor. That what you call showing up half dead on a man's doorstep? Color flooded her pale cheeks. I didn't plan to walk 2 miles in a blizzard, Mr. Stone. Stage master refused to take me further when I couldn't pay for meals. I had a choice, wait in town until spring or walk to your ranch. I chose to walk. That was stupid. That was determined. She stood, swayed, caught herself. I understand if this isn't what you want. If you'd rather send me back, I'll go. But I won't apologize for the circumstances that brought me here. Life isn't always kind, Mr. Stone. Sometimes we just survive it best we can. She was magnificent. Starving, exhausted, dressed in rags, magnificent. Caleb stood too. You're in no condition to go anywhere. Then I'll stay until the weather clears. You'll stay because I hired you to stay. 3 months trial, like we agreed in the letters. Hope flickered across her face. You're willing to continue the arrangement. I'm a man of my word, Miss Hartford. Are you a woman of yours? I am. Then we have a deal. He held out his hand. She took it. Her grip was firm despite the cold. They shook, and he felt the roughness of her palm. Not soft hands of a banker's daughter, scarred hands of someone who'd scrubbed floors to survive. Thank you, Mr. Stone. Don't thank me yet. This is a working ranch. I need help with Lucy, help with the house, help with cooking. Winter's coming on hard. Might lose half the herd before spring. There's no luxury here. I didn't come for luxury. What did you come for? She hesitated. A second chance. His throat tightened. He turned toward the kitchen before she could see his face. You'll have the room off the kitchen. Small. Got a bed and a dresser. You'll take meals with me and Lucy. $20 a month plus room and board. He paused. After 3 months, if we suit, we'll talk about making it permanent. And if we don't suit, then I'll pay your passage back to Boston and we'll part as friends. That's fair. Lucy will test you. The words came harder now. She's been without a mother 18 months. She's hungry for female company, but she's scared too. Has nightmares about her mama dying. I'll be patient with her. You'll need to be patient with me too. The admission cost him. I'm not good company these days. Work most of the time. When I'm not working, I'm thinking about work. Don't talk much. Don't go to town unless I have to. Don't go to church at all. I noticed. That bother you? My father taught me not to judge a man by where he goes Sunday, but how he treats people Monday through Saturday. Her voice softened. You ran into a blizzard to help a stranger. That tells me what I need to know. Caleb looked at her then, really looked, and saw something in those storm-colored eyes that made his chest feel strange, like something frozen was starting to crack. I need to see to the horses. He grabbed his coat. Your room's through there. Get warm. Get rest. We'll talk more at supper. He was halfway to the door when her voice stopped him. Mr. Stone. He turned. Why did you place that advertisement? The truth. His hand tightened on the latch. Lucy needs a mother. I need help. It's practical. That's not the whole truth. It's all the truth you're getting. He left before she could push further. Cold hit like a slap. He stood on the porch breathing hard. Through the frosted window, he could see her silhouette by the fire. She stood there a long moment, then moved toward the room he'd indicated. Lucy's door creaked. The two of them met in the kitchen. He couldn't hear what they said, but he saw Lucy take Abigail's hand. saw Abigail kneel to the child's level, saw his daughter throw small arms around the stranger's neck. Caleb turned toward the barn, walked into the storm. Inside, Abigail stood in the doorway of her new room, small, narrow bed with a faded quilt, dresser with 3 drawers, 1 stuck, window looking out on white. She set her carpetbag on the bed, opened it. 2 dresses, both patched, spare underclothings, her father's Bible, and tucked in the spine a photograph, her father in Sunday best, her mother beside him, young and beautiful, Abigail between them, maybe 8, wearing white lace. Before everything fell apart, she touched her mother's face. Carolyn Hartford had died when Abigail was 12. Fever, the doctor said. Would she have seen what her husband was becoming? Would she have stopped him? Abigail closed the Bible, put it on the dresser. The photograph stayed inside. Some things were better left buried. Knock on the door. Miss Abby, Lucy's voice tentative. Can I come in? Of course. The door opened. Lucy peeked around it, then stepped inside. She'd changed into a nightgown white flannel with embroidered flowers. Dark curls loose past her shoulders. Papa said I shouldn't bother you, said you needed rest, but I wanted... She twisted her hands. I wanted to make sure you were really staying. I'm really staying. For how long? 3 months to start. Maybe longer if your papa and I get along. Lucy moved closer. Do you think you will get along? I don't know, sweetheart. Your papa seems like a good man. Hard man, but good. He didn't used to be hard. Lucy climbed on the bed, sat cross-legged. Mama said he used to laugh all the time, said he could make anyone smile. But after she died, he stopped. Now he just works and works. Grief does that. Makes us forget how to be happy. Are you sad about your papa? Very sad. Does it get better? Abigail thought about lying, offering easy comfort. But Lucy's eyes were too old for 7. This child knew death. She deserved truth. It changes. Doesn't go away, but it changes. Some days it's a quiet ache. Some days it's sharp pain. But you learn to carry it. Lucy leaned against her shoulder. I'm glad you're here, Miss Abby. I'm glad I'm here too. They sat quiet. Outside, wind howled. Inside, the small room felt warm. Miss Abby? Yes. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why does your dress have patches? Because I couldn't afford a new one. Papa could buy you a new dress. He has money. Not lots, but some. That's kind, but I don't need charity. It's not charity if you're family. Mama used to say family helps each other. Family. The word sat between them like a promise neither was ready to make. Your mama was right, but I'm not family yet, Lucy. Just a woman your papa hired to help. But maybe you will be. Maybe if papa likes you and you like him, you could stay forever. Forever. Abigail had stopped believing in forever when she'd found her father's body. Laudanum bottle empty on the desk. Note that said only, I'm sorry. Maybe, she said instead. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Lucy seemed satisfied. Hopped off the bed. I should let you rest. Papa gets cross if I don't listen. She paused at the door, turned back. Miss Abby, you're really pretty, even with the patches. Then she was gone. Abigail sat on the bed, let out a long breath. Her whole body ached. Feet screamed from the walk. Hands throbbed with frostbite. But she was here, safe. Had a roof and a trial that might turn into something permanent. She'd survived worse. She could survive this. She lay back, closed her eyes. Sleep pulled her under like a tide. Two hours later, Caleb came in from the barn. The door to her room was ajar. He meant to walk past, give her privacy. Instead, he stopped. She was asleep on top of the quilt, still in her patched dress. Auburn hair spread across the pillow. Her face was peaceful. Lines of worry smoothed away. She looked young, vulnerable, beautiful. The thought came unbidden. He shoved it away. He moved to close the door. His boot scraped the floor. Abigail's eyes flew open. She sat up fast, disoriented. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sleep so long. I'll start supper. Supper's done. Lucy and I ate." He gestured to the kitchen. "Saved you a plate. Venison stew. Not fancy, but it's hot." She stood, swayed. He caught her elbow. "Easy." "I'm fine. Just stood too fast." "You're exhausted. Eat something, then go back to bed. I should help clean. I should—" "Miss Hartford." Voice sharper than he meant. "You work for me, which means you follow my orders. Right now, I'm ordering you to eat and rest. Tomorrow's soon enough to start earning your keep." Her jaw set. "I don't like being spoken to like a child, Mr. Stone." "And I don't like arguing. Eat." They stared at each other. Fire met ice. Finally, she nodded. "Fine." She moved past him to the kitchen. He'd left the stew on the stove. She served herself, sat at the table. He lingered in the doorway, watching. She ate like she'd been taught manners, small bites, napkin in lap, but with urgency that spoke to real hunger. When she finished the first bowl, she eyed the pot. "There's more." "I shouldn't." "You should." Second bowl. This time slower, savoring. When she finished, color had returned to her cheeks. "Thank you, Mr. Stone. That was excellent." It was basic. Basic is luxury when you've been living on bread and water. The admission hung between them. How long what? How long living on bread and water? She set down her spoon. "Since I sold my father's house. 4 months." 4 months. Christ. He sat across from her. "There's something you should know, Miss Hartford. This valley is isolated. Town's 4 hours by wagon. We don't get visitors. In winter we can go weeks without seeing another soul. If you're looking for society, you won't find it here." "I'm not looking for society." "What are you looking for?" Long silence. Peace. Purpose. A place where my past doesn't define my future. That's a tall order. I know. She stood, carried her bowl to the basin. "But I'm willing to work for it." He watched her wash the dish. Practiced efficiency. She moved through his kitchen like she belonged. Sarah's kitchen. Sarah's space. Should have felt wrong. Didn't. And that scared him more than anything. That night after Lucy was asleep, Caleb sat at his workbench in the barn. Moonlight cut through the small window, cast shadows across tools he hadn't touched in months. His father's Bible lay open. Sarah's ribbon still marked a page from 18 months ago. Her handwriting filled the margin. Small, neat, familiar. Worth is measured by character, not circumstance. "Remember this, my love." She'd written that their first year of marriage, when he'd worried he wasn't providing enough. Sarah had always seen deeper than surfaces. His father's voice echoed. "A man's measure ain't in what he owns, but in what he's willing to give." What was he willing to give? From the cabin, soft sound drifted across the yard. Singing. Abigail's voice, gentle and melodic, singing Lucy to sleep. Unfamiliar melody, achingly tender. Caleb rose, crossed to the cabin, entered quiet, moved through the kitchen. In the hallway he stopped. Abigail sat beside Lucy's bed, threadbare dress clean and pressed despite patches. Lamplight softened her features. She smoothed his daughter's hair. Lucy's small hand gripped Abigail's fingers. "Miss Margaret," Lucy's voice thick with sleep. "I mean, Miss Abby." "Yes, little one. I love you. Please don't go away like Mama did." Caleb's breath caught. Abigail leaned down, kissed his daughter's forehead. "Hush now, little bird. I'm right here." Lucy's eyes closed. Breathing evened into sleep. Abigail stayed, still stroking hair, humming soft. Caleb watched. Everything became clear. This woman in rags possessed more worth than any fortune. She'd lost everything material, still chose honesty over deception, dignity over desperation, kindness over bitterness. She loved his daughter with genuine tenderness, asked nothing for herself, gave everything she had. Sarah would have loved her. Lucy already did, and he'd been measuring worth by the wrong scale entirely. Listened to gossips when he should have trusted his eyes. Let pride poison what could be healing. He stepped back from the doorway, decision crystallizing like ice on still water. Clear, certain. Tomorrow he'd speak. Tonight he returned to the barn, worked until dawn, not hiding, preparing. His hands carved with purpose they hadn't held in 2 years. When sunrise painted the sky pink and gold, he held up his work. A wooden flower. Delicate petals, curved stem, polished smooth. Beside it on the workbench, a small box. Inside, a simple ring. Sarah's mother's. Passed down with a note in Sarah's handwriting. For the next woman worthy of your heart, whenever you find her. The coldest winter was breaking. All he had to do was open the door. Morning light flooded the cabin. Caleb stood at the stove. Eggs sizzled, coffee steamed, toast browned over the fire. Behind him, footsteps paused. "Mr. Stone." Surprise in her voice. He turned. "Please sit. Breakfast is ready." She hesitated, moved to the table, wary. He'd hurt her with his withdrawal. He saw that now. Her dignity remained, but weariness had replaced warmth. He brought coffee, toast, eggs, set them before her with care, then sat across the table, heart hammering. "Margaret." He stopped. "Abigail, I owe you an apology." She waited, gave nothing away. "When you arrived, I looked at you and saw rags, listened to what town would say and heard judgment." He forced himself to hold her gaze. "But I failed to see what my daughter saw immediately, a woman of courage, integrity, uncommon worth." Something flickered in her expression, hope carefully guarded. "You could have come in borrowed finery, pleasant lies. Instead you came in truth, offered exactly who you are. That takes more courage than any man I know." He paused, gathered strength. "My wife died believing character matters more than circumstance. I nearly forgot that lesson." Voice roughened. "Thank you for reminding me." Her eyes glistened. She stayed silent, waiting. He reached in his pocket, withdrew the carved flower, set it on the table. Beside it, the small box. "I've watched you these weeks. It's been 2 days, Mr. Stone." "Feels longer." He almost smiled. "Your kindness to Lucy, your dignity despite hardship, your strength facing judgment. I see your worth, Abigail, all of it." He opened the box. The ring caught morning light. "This was my wife's mother's ring. Sarah left it with a note, for the next woman worthy of my heart." Tears spilled down Abigail's cheeks. "I choose you," Caleb said, voice breaking. "Not despite your circumstances, but because of who you are within them. Your poverty doesn't diminish you, it reveals you. When you lost everything, you kept your honor. That's worth more than any fortune." He reached across the table, took her hand. First intentional touch between them. Her fingers trembled in his, warm. "Will you stay, Abigail? Not as arrangement, as family, not as charity, as chosen, not as obligation, but as—" He stopped. The word too large, but she understood. She always had. "Yes," whispered. "Yes, Caleb, I'll stay. I'll spend every day proving your trust well placed." Tears fell freely now. Not sorrow. Being truly seen, truly known, truly chosen. He squeezed her hand, felt something long frozen begin to thaw. From the hallway, small running footsteps. Lucy burst in, having heard everything. "Papa, Miss Abby? Does this mean she's staying forever?" Does this mean she'll be my—" She stopped, afraid to speak the word. Abigail opened her arms. Lucy flew into them. "I'm staying, little bird. I'm staying." Lucy's sobs of joy filled the cabin. She clung to Abigail with all her strength, then reached for her father, pulled him into their circle. Caleb wrapped his arms around them both. His daughter, the woman he'd chosen. The three of them held each other while morning light streamed through the window. For the first time in 18 months, Caleb smiled. His heart, so long armored in grief, began to beat with hope again. But outside, beyond the warmth of their cabin, storm clouds gathered on the horizon. In town, Widow Blackwell stood at her window, watching the road to Stone's ranch. She'd heard the stage master's story about the woman in rags, the beggar bride. Her niece Charlotte had been calling on Caleb Stone for months. A proper match. Suitable. This wouldn't stand. Temperance Blackwell picked up her pen. Dear members of the Church Council, it has come to my attention that Mr. Caleb Stone has taken in a woman of questionable character. The coldest winter was just beginning. The letter arrived 3 days after Caleb's proposal. He found it wedged in the fence post at the end of his drive. Someone had ridden out in the night to leave it there. No signature, just careful script on expensive paper. The Church Council requests your presence at Sunday service. Your recent domestic arrangements require discussion. Failure to attend will be noted. Caleb crumpled the paper in his fist. Behind him, Abigail appeared in the doorway, flour dusting her hands. She'd been making bread since dawn, filling the cabin with warmth and the smell of yeast. What is it? He turned. She stood framed in morning light, wearing one of Sarah's old dresses that Lucy had brought her in secret. It fit well enough, though. Abigail had let out the seams to account for Sarah's smaller frame. Blue calico with white buttons. Simple. Clean. Beautiful. Nothing. He shoved the letter in his coat pocket. Church business. Her eyes, those storm-colored eyes that saw too much, narrowed slightly. What kind of church business? The kind that's none of their damn concern. Caleb. She stepped off the porch, crossed the yard to him. What did it say? He looked at her. At this woman who'd walked through a blizzard with nothing. Who'd chosen honesty when lies would have been easier. Who'd won his daughter's heart in 2 days and cracked his own armor without even trying. She deserved truth. They want to discuss our arrangement. The council. Understanding crossed her face. Not surprise. Just weary recognition. I see. You don't see nothing yet. Anger heated his voice. They got no right to. They have every right, Caleb. She touched his arm. Light. Brief. I arrived in rags. No proper introduction. No chaperone. Within 3 days you're proposing marriage to a stranger. Of course they have questions. Questions they can keep to themselves. Can they? In a town this small? She pulled her shawl tighter against the morning cold. Your reputation matters. Lucy's standing in the community matters. If the church council has concerns, we should address them. By letting them judge you, let them pick apart your worth like vultures on a carcass. By showing them who I am. Her voice stayed calm, steady. I've faced worse than small-town gossip, Caleb. My father's scandal taught me that sometimes the only way through is straight ahead. He wanted to argue. Wanted to tell her she didn't understand how cruel people could be when they smelled blood in the water. But Lucy's voice called from inside. Papa, Miss Abby breakfast is getting cold. Abigail smiled. Small. Real. Come on. We'll figure it out after we eat. She turned toward the house. Caleb watched her go. Spine straight despite everything. Head high. The letter in his pocket felt like a stone. Sunday was 2 days away. That afternoon, Lucy sat at the kitchen table practicing letters while Abigail mended one of Caleb's shirts. The cabin had fallen into a rhythm these past days, small domestic rituals that felt both foreign and achingly familiar. Miss Abby, how do you spell family? Abigail looked up from her needle. Family. What are you writing, sweetheart? Lucy bent over her slate tongue between her teeth in concentration. A letter. To Mama. In heaven. The needle stilled in Abigail's hands. That's a beautiful idea. Papa says she can't read letters in heaven. Says she's too busy being an angel. Lucy's voice dropped. But I think maybe she can, if I write them good enough. Abigail set down the shirt, moved to sit beside the child. What are you telling her? About you. That you're here now. That you make Papa smile again. Lucy looked up, eyes serious beyond her years. Do you think she minds that you're here? The question landed like a blow. Abigail had been asking herself the same thing for 3 days, every time she cooked in Sarah's kitchen, every time she wore Sarah's dress, every time she caught Caleb looking at her with something that wasn't quite grief anymore. Was she replacing a woman who should never be replaced, or was she simply filling space that had been empty too long? I think, Abigail said carefully, that your mama loved your papa very much, and she loved you most of all. If she's watching from heaven, I think she'd want you both to be happy, even if that happiness looks different than it did before. Lucy considered this. That's what I thought too. She went back to writing. I'm telling her you're not trying to be her. You're just trying to be you, and that's okay. Abigail's throat closed. She pulled Lucy into a hug, this small, wise creature who saw the world with devastating clarity. You're a very smart girl, Lucy Stone. I know. Matter of fact. No arrogance. Just truth. Papa says I get it from Mama. The door opened. Caleb stomped snow from his boots, bringing cold air and the smell of horses with him. Papa? Lucy jumped up. I'm writing a letter to Mama. Want to help? Something flickered across his face. Pain, love, complicated grief. Maybe later, baby girl. Right now I need to talk to Miss Abby. Lucy looked between them, sensing adult business. Okay, I'll go read in my room. She gathered her slate and vanished down the hall. Caleb stood by the door, hat in his hands, not looking at Abigail. Sam Boone came by while I was checking fence lines. Abigail waited. He heard talk in town. About you. About us. Caleb's jaw tightened. It's not good. What are they saying? That you're an opportunist. That you saw a lonely widower and pounced. That I'm a fool being taken advantage of by a woman who showed up with nothing and now stands to gain everything. The words should have stung. Should have made her angry. Instead, Abigail just felt tired. Are those Sam's words or the town's? The town's. Sam thinks they're idiots. Caleb finally looked at her. He wanted to warn us. Says Temperance Blackwell is leading the charge. Her niece Charlotte has been calling on me since Sarah died. Temperance had plans. Plans you disrupted. Plans I didn't ask for and don't want. He took a step closer. Abigail, I don't give a damn what they say. You know that, right? I know. If you want to skip church Sunday, we can. I'll tell them to go to hell. We're not skipping church. Abby. Caleb. She stood, crossed to him. If we hide, we confirm everything they're saying, that I'm ashamed, that you're uncertain, that this arrangement is something shameful. It's not shameful. Then we go to church. We hold our heads up. We show them exactly who we are. Her voice strengthened. I won't let small-minded people dictate how we live. And neither should you. He stared at her, something like admiration warming his eyes. You're a stubborn woman, Abigail Hartford. I am. You should probably get used to it. The corner of his mouth lifted, almost a smile. I'm starting to. Sunday morning dawned cold and bright. Caleb hitched the wagon while Abigail helped Lucy into her Sunday best, a green dress with lace at the collar that Sarah had made 2 years ago. Do I look pretty, Miss Abby? You look beautiful, sweetheart. Lucy studied her in the small mirror. "You look beautiful too. That dress is really nice on you." It was Sarah's dress, the blue calico. Abigail had spent yesterday evening altering it properly, her stitches small and careful. She'd left the original hem intact where Sarah's hands had worked it. Some things deserve to be preserved. "Thank you, Lucy. Are you nervous about church?" Abigail knelt to the child's level. "A little. Are you?" "A little." Lucy's small hand found hers. "But Papa says we stick together no matter what. That's what families do." Families. The word still felt too large, too hopeful, too fragile. But Abigail squeezed Lucy's hand and said, "That's right. We stick together." The ride to town took 4 hours. Caleb drove in silence, his jaw set. Lucy chattered between them about everything and nothing. Cloud shapes, bird songs, whether angels needed to eat breakfast. Abigail watched the landscape roll past. Montana Territory, in December, was beautiful in its harshness. Everything stripped down to essential elements. Earth. Sky. Survival. She understood why Caleb had chosen this place, and why it had broken Sarah's heart to leave it. As they approached Reunion Falls, other wagons appeared on the road, families heading to the white clapboard church at the edge of town. People Caleb had known for years, people who would judge them today. "Caleb," Abigail said quietly, "whatever happens in there, don't lose your temper." He glanced at her. "They come at you? I'm not staying quiet." "I'm not asking you to stay quiet. I'm asking you to stay smart." She touched his arm. Anger gives them power. Dignity takes it away. He was quiet for a long moment, then nodded once, sharp. They pulled up to the church. Other families were already gathering. Conversations that stopped when Caleb's wagon appeared. Heads turning, whispers starting. Caleb set the brake, climbed down, came around to help Abigail. His hand was steady as she took it, strong. Lucy hopped down between them, immediately took both their hands. Together the three of them walked toward the church. The crowd parted like water. Eyes tracked their progress. Some faces showed curiosity. Some showed disapproval. A few showed something that might have been sympathy. At the church steps, a woman stepped into their path. Temperance Blackwell was 50 if she was a day, dressed in black silk despite it being years since her husband's death. Severe bun, sharp features, eyes like flint. Beside her stood a younger woman, pretty, blonde, well-dressed. This would be Charlotte. "Mr. Stone," Temperance's voice could have cut glass. "How good of you to join us." "Mrs. Blackwell." Caleb's tone was flat, careful. "Charlotte." Charlotte had the grace to look uncomfortable. "Hello, Mr. Stone. Lucy." Lucy pressed closer to Abigail's side. Temperance's gaze slid to Abigail. Up, down, assessing, finding lacking. "And this must be your guest." "This is Abigail Hartford," Caleb said. "My intended." Murmurs rippled through the gathered crowd. Temperance's smile was thin as a knife. "How charming. Though I must say, Mr. Stone, it's rather sudden, isn't it? Poor Sarah has been gone barely 2 years, and already you've brought a stranger into your home, into your daughter's life." "That's my business, Mrs. Blackwell." "Is it? When it affects the moral character of our community, when it sets an example for our children." She looked at Lucy. What must this poor child think having a woman she doesn't know thrust into her mother's place? Lucy's hand tightened on Abigail's. Before Caleb could respond, Abigail spoke. Voice calm, clear. "Mrs. Blackwell, I appreciate your concern for Lucy's welfare, but I assure you no one is trying to replace her mother. Sarah Stone will always be Lucy's mama. I'm simply here to help care for a child who needs care and a home that needs tending." "How noble!" Temperance's voice dripped acid. Tell me, Miss Hartford, what qualifications do you bring to this arrangement beyond, shall we say, desperation?" The crowd had gone silent, watching, waiting. Abigail felt Caleb tense beside her, felt Lucy's small hand trembling in her own. She thought of her father, of the moment she'd stood before his creditors and admitted his crimes, of choosing truth even when lies would have been easier. "You're right, Mrs. Blackwell. I am desperate." She met the older woman's eyes straight on. "My father died 6 months ago. He left debts I spent everything I had to repay. I lost my home, my position, everything I'd built. When I answered Mr. Stone's advertisement, I owned 2 dresses and my dignity. That's all." Temperance's eyes gleamed. She'd been given ammunition, but Abigail wasn't finished. "I came here with nothing material. That's true. But I came with skills. I was a school teacher for 5 years in Boston. I can read, write, and cipher. I can cook, clean, mend, and manage a household. Most importantly, I came with honesty. Mr. Stone knew my circumstances from the start. I didn't deceive him. I didn't arrive under false pretenses. I offered exactly what I am: a woman willing to work hard, care for his daughter, and build a life from honest effort." She paused. The crowd was listening now, really listening. "If that's not enough for your standards, Mrs. Blackwell, I understand. But it's enough for Mr. Stone, and with respect, his opinion is the only one that matters." Silence. Then Sam Boone stepped forward from the crowd. Big man, blacksmith's build, kind eyes. "Well said, Miss Hartford." He removed his hat. "My wife Mary and I would be honored to have you for supper sometime. Our door's always open." A woman joined him, round-faced, warm smile. "Indeed it is. Any woman willing to speak truth that plainly has quality, I say." Another voice, then another. Not everyone, but enough. The tide was turning. Temperance's face had gone white, then red. "The council will still want to discuss this matter properly. Inside, after service." "Then we'll discuss it," Caleb said. "But Abigail stays with me. Whatever you got to say to me, you can say in front of her." He offered Abigail his arm. She took it. Together with Lucy between them, they climbed the church steps. Behind them, Charlotte Blackwell's voice quiet but clear. "Aunt Temperance let it go. She's exactly what they need." Temperance's sharp intake of breath was audible, but Abigail didn't look back. Done. The service felt like it lasted years. Reverend Matthews preached on mercy and judgment, whether by divine inspiration or pointed commentary. Abigail couldn't tell. She sat between Caleb and Lucy in a pew that had been Sarah's, felt the weight of eyes on her back, heard the whispers that weren't quite whispers. Lucy leaned against her shoulder halfway through. Warm weight, complete trust. Caleb's hand found hers in the space between them. Squeezed once. She held on. When the final hymn ended, Reverend Matthews cleared his throat. "The council has requested a brief meeting. Mr. Stone, Miss Hartford, if you'd join us in the vestry." Here it came. Caleb stood, helped Abigail up. "Lucy, you stay with Mrs. Boone." "But Papa—" "It's all right, baby girl. We won't be long." Mary Boone appeared all warmth and reassurance. "Come on, sweetheart. I brought cookies." Lucy went reluctantly, looking back at Abigail with worried eyes. Abigail smiled, trying to project confidence she didn't entirely feel. The vestry was small, cramped. 5 council members sat in a semicircle, Temperance Blackwell among them. The Reverend stood to the side. Caleb and Abigail stood before them like defendants at trial. Temperance spoke first. "Mr. Stone, this council has serious concerns about your recent domestic arrangements." "Noted." "Don't be flippant. This is a matter of moral character." "Whose, mine or Abigail's?" "Both." She leaned forward. "You've brought a strange woman into your home, into your daughter's life. Within days, you're speaking of marriage. It's unseemly, inappropriate. and it sets a poor example for our community. What would you have me do? Die alone? Raise Lucy without help? We'd have you show proper discretion, proper mourning. Charlotte has been calling on you for months. A suitable match. From a good family. Charlotte's a fine woman, but I don't love her. Love. Temperance said the word like it was distasteful. Marriage is about suitability, Mr. Stone, about partnership and practical arrangement, not romantic notions. Caleb's hand found Abigail's again. Then why does it matter who I choose? If marriage is practical, Abigail's the most practical choice I could make. She's educated, hard-working, good with Lucy. What more do you want? Another council member spoke. Mr. Hastings. Thin man, nervous. It's the circumstances, Stone. She arrived with nothing. How do we know she's not taking advantage of your grief? Because I say she's not. Your judgment may be clouded. My judgment is fine. Temperance stood. Mr. Stone, this council cannot stop you from making foolish choices, but we can express our disapproval, and we can make it known that we do not approve of this union. Fine. Note your disapproval and let us go. We're not finished. Her eyes cut to Abigail. Miss Hartford, you claim you were a teacher in Boston. I was. And you lost that position, why? Abigail felt the trap closing, but she'd learned long ago that truth was the only weapon that never broke. Because my father was discovered to have embezzled from the bank where he worked. When the scandal broke, the school board decided I was unsuitable. Gasps around the room. Temperance's smile was triumphant. Your father was a thief. My father made terrible choices. I spent everything I had to repay his victims. How noble. But the fact remains you come from criminal stock. And you come from judgmental stock, Mrs. Blackwell. But I'm trying not to hold it against you. Silence. Shocked. Complete. Then Caleb laughed. Sharp. Surprised. She's got you there, Temperance. Temperance's face went purple. This is exactly what I mean. She's disrespectful, inappropriate, not at all suitable for a man of your standing. My standing? Caleb's humor vanished. I'm a rancher who nearly lost everything last winter, who couldn't save his own wife, who's been failing his daughter for 18 months because I was too buried in grief to see straight. Abigail showed up in rags, and inside 3 days did more for Lucy's happiness than I've managed in a year and a half. So you tell me, Mrs. Blackwell, what exactly is my standing, and why the hell would it matter? Reverend Matthews stepped forward. Caleb, Temperance, this is getting us nowhere. Because there's nowhere to get, Caleb said. You want to disapprove, disapprove. You want to judge, judge. But I'm marrying Abigail Hartford, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. He turned to leave, stopped, looked back. And one more thing. Sarah would have liked her. My wife had a good heart and a clear eye for quality. She would have seen what I see, a woman with more courage and worth than this whole council combined. He pulled Abigail toward the door. Behind them, Charlotte Blackwell's voice rang clear. I agree with Mr. Stone. Everyone turned. Charlotte stood, faced her aunt. I've been calling on Mr. Stone for months, Aunt Temperance, at your insistence, but he's never looked at me the way he looks at Miss Hartford, and Lucy has never smiled at me the way she smiles at her. They're a family already. Let them be. Temperance looked like she'd been slapped. Charlotte? No, Aunt. You've been scheming for a match that neither Mr. Stone nor I want. It's time to stop. She turned to Abigail. I wish you every happiness, Miss Hartford. Truly. Abigail's throat closed. Thank you, Miss Blackwell. Charlotte nodded, then walked out. Caleb guided Abigail through the door, into the church, past the remaining congregation that had definitely been listening through the thin vestry walls. Outside, Lucy broke free from Mary Boone and ran to them. Papa, Miss Abby, are you okay? Caleb scooped her up. We're fine, baby girl. Did they yell at you? Little bit. That's not nice. Lucy's face was fierce. Miss Abby's nice. They shouldn't yell at nice people. No, they shouldn't. Caleb kissed her forehead. But it's over now. Sam Boone approached. That was well done, Stone, both of you. Thanks, Sam. Mean it. You need anything, you let me know. He looked at Abigail. That offer for supper stands, Miss Hartford. Mary means it. Mary nodded, squeezed Abigail's hand. You're welcome in this town. Don't let temperance convince you otherwise. Other people approached. Not everyone, but enough. Offering welcome. Offering support. The tide had turned. But as they climbed into the wagon for the long ride home, Abigail saw Temperance Blackwell standing in the church doorway, watching them with eyes like winter ice. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. That night, after Lucy was asleep, Caleb found Abigail on the porch. She stood wrapped in a shawl, looking out at the dark valley. You should be inside. It's freezing. I needed air. He joined her. They stood in silence for a moment, stars bright overhead, their breath clouding in the cold. You were magnificent today, Caleb said finally. I was honest. Same thing with you. She smiled, small, tired. Your wife would have liked me. Sarah would have loved you. No hesitation. She had a gift for seeing people's hearts. She would have known yours immediately. What would she have seen? He was quiet for a long moment. Strength. Kindness. The kind of courage that doesn't announce itself, but shows up when it matters. Abigail's eyes burned. I'm scared, Caleb. Of what? Of failing. Of not being enough. Of Lucy getting attached and then she stopped. Couldn't finish. And then what? And then something happening. People leave Caleb. My mother died. My father killed himself. Everyone I've ever loved has left. He turned her to face him, hands on her shoulders, gentle but firm. I'm not going anywhere. You can't promise that. I can promise I'll do my damnedest to keep breathing. I can promise I'll fight for this family with everything I've got. I can promise that whatever time we have, we'll make it count. Tears spilled over. She tried to turn away. He wouldn't let her. Abby, look at me. She did. You're not alone anymore. You hear me? Not alone. She broke. Just for a moment, leaned into him, let him hold her while she shook with silent sobs. He held her. Strong arms, steady heartbeat. When she finally pulled back, embarrassed, he just handed her his handkerchief. Sorry. I don't usually. Don't apologize. I cried for 6 months after Sarah died. Lucy would find me in the barn bawling like a child. Grief doesn't make you weak, Abby. Just makes you human. She wiped her eyes. I'm not grieving. Aren't you? You lost your whole life in Boston. Your father. Your home. Everything you knew. That's worth grieving. The words settled over her like a blanket. Permission she hadn't known she needed. I miss him, she whispered. Even after what he did, even knowing he lied and stole and ruined people's lives. I miss my father. Of course you do. He was your father. Does that make me terrible? Makes you human. Love doesn't stop just because someone does wrong. Sarah's brother was a drunk who gambled away his family's farm. She loved him anyway. Helped him even when he didn't deserve it. That's what love does. It stays even when staying is hard. Abigail looked up at him. This man who'd lost his wife. Who'd been drowning in grief. Who'd somehow found strength enough to reach for something new. How did you get so wise? I'm not wise. I'm just tired of being alone. The honesty in his voice broke her heart and healed it simultaneously. Caleb. Yeah. Thank you for choosing me. He touched her face, rough fingers gentle on her cheek. Thank you for letting me. They stood there in the cold, close enough to feel each other's warmth. Not quite touching. Not yet. But soon. Inside, Lucy called out. Nightmare, probably. Abigail started to move. Caleb caught her hand. I'll go. You get warm. He squeezed her fingers once, then went inside. Abigail stood alone on the porch, looking out at the dark valley that was slowly becoming home. Behind her through the window she could hear Caleb's low voice, Lucy's tearful response, the murmur of comfort, a family knitting itself together, one scared heartbeat at a time. She touched the place on her cheek where his hand had been, and smiled. The nightmare came 3 nights later. Caleb woke to Lucy's screams tearing through the darkness. He was out of bed and down the hall before his eyes fully opened. Abigail met him at Lucy's door, already there in her nightgown, hair loose around her shoulders. Lucy thrashed in her bed, tangled in blankets, eyes squeezed shut. "Mama! Mama, don't go! Please don't go!" Abigail sat on the bed's edge, gathering the child into her arms. "Shh, sweetheart. I'm here. You're safe." She was bleeding. There was so much blood and Papa couldn't stop it, and the baby was crying, but then it stopped and Mama... Lucy's words dissolved into sobs. Caleb stood frozen in the doorway. His daughter was reliving the worst day of his life. The day he'd failed Sarah, failed their son, failed everyone who'd depended on him to be strong. Abigail looked up, saw him standing there like stone. "Caleb, get water. Cool cloth." The command broke through his paralysis. He moved to the kitchen, pumped water with shaking hands, found a cloth. His reflection in the dark window showed a man coming apart. When he returned, Abigail had Lucy calmed to hiccuping gasps. She took the cloth from him, pressed it to Lucy's forehead. "There now, just a bad dream. Just shadows and memory getting mixed up." It felt real. Lucy's voice was small, broken. "I heard Mama screaming again. I heard the baby cry and then stop crying. Why did he stop crying, Miss Abby?" Abigail's eyes found Caleb's, asking permission. He managed a nod, couldn't speak. "Sometimes babies are too small to stay," Abigail said gently. "Sometimes heaven needs them more than earth does. It's not fair, it's not right, but it's what happened." "Was it my fault?" "What?" "No, Lucy. Never. Papa got quiet after. Like he was mad at me. Like maybe if I'd been a better girl, Mama wouldn't have wanted another baby." Caleb's knees nearly gave out. "Lucy, look at me." Abigail's voice was firm now. "Your papa loves you more than anything in this world. What happened to your mama and the baby wasn't anyone's fault. Sometimes bodies just give out. Sometimes we lose people we love, and there's no reason we can understand. But your papa has never not for 1 second blamed you." Lucy's eyes cut to Caleb, uncertain, needing. He forced himself to move, knelt beside the bed, took his daughter's small hand. "Baby girl, I'm sorry." His voice cracked. "I got quiet because I was hurting, because I didn't know how to talk about losing your mama without falling apart. But I never blamed you. You're the only good thing that came out of that day. You're the reason I kept breathing when I wanted to stop." "Really? Really?" Lucy launched herself at him, wrapped small arms around his neck. He held her, feeling her heartbeat against his chest. This tiny person he'd almost destroyed with his silence. Abigail stood. "I'll make tea. Give you two some time." She slipped out, left father and daughter alone in lamplight. Lucy pulled back, studied his face. "Papa, are you crying?" Yeah, I am." "Grown-ups aren't supposed to cry." "Who told you that?" "You did. After Mama died. You said you had to be strong." Christ. He'd said that. Had locked himself away. Had modeled stoicism when he should have modeled grief. "I was wrong, Lucy. Crying doesn't make you weak. Holding it in until it poisons you, that's what makes you weak." She touched his wet cheek. Miss Abby says it's okay to be sad. She says being sad means we loved someone a lot. Miss Abby's a smart woman. Are you going to marry her papa for real? If she'll have me. I think she will. Lucy snuggled against him. I think she loves us already, even though we're sad and broken sometimes. We're not broken, baby girl. We're healing. There's a difference. Lucy yawned. The storm had passed. Exhaustion was taking over. Caleb laid her back down, pulled the blankets up. Try to sleep. I'll be right down the hall. Can Miss Abby come back? She makes the nightmares less scary. I'll send her. He found Abigail in the kitchen, tea steeping in Sarah's old pot. She looked up when he entered. Is she okay? She wants you. Abigail set down her cup, started toward the hall. Caleb caught her arm. Thank you. For knowing what to say when I couldn't. You found your words eventually. That's what matters. I'm a terrible father. You're a grieving father. There's a difference. She echoed his own words back to him. It shouldn't have helped. It did. Stay with her until she sleeps. Of course. She disappeared down the hall. Caleb stood alone in the kitchen. His tea went cold while he stared at nothing. Sarah's voice in his memory. You're going to be a wonderful father, Caleb Stone. Our children will be so loved. He'd failed that promise, had let grief turn him into a hollow man who couldn't even comfort his own daughter through nightmares. But Abigail had been there, had filled the gaps his absence created. He didn't know whether to be grateful or ashamed. Maybe both. Maybe that was part of healing too. Morning brought unexpected visitors. Caleb was splitting wood when he saw the wagon approach. 2 people. He recognized Sam Boone's broad frame driving. Didn't recognize the woman beside him. Sam pulled up, helped the woman down. She was older, 60 maybe, weathered face, kind eyes, carried a basket. Morning, Stone. This is Martha Hendricks, midwife from Helena. Come to check on your situation. Caleb's hand tightened on the axe. What situation? Martha stepped forward, no fear in her. Mr. Stone, the church council asked me to come. Verify that Miss Hartford's presence in your home is appropriate. Appropriate how? That there's a separate bedroom, that proprieties are being observed. She raised a hand before he could explode. I know it's intrusive. I told them as much, but I'm also practical. If I verify everything's respectable, they'll have no grounds to continue harassing you. Sam nodded. She's on your side, Caleb. Let her look around. Then this nonsense can end. The door opened. Abigail appeared, wiping flour from her hands. She'd been making bread again. Mr. Boone, ma'am. Martha studied her. Up, down, thorough. You're Miss Hartford. I am. I'm Martha Hendricks. The council sent me to verify your living arrangements are proper. Abigail didn't flinch. Come in then. I'll show you whatever you need to see. She held the door wide. Martha entered. Sam stayed outside with Caleb. I'm sorry about this, Sam said. Temperance pushed for it. Reverend Matthews tried to stop her, but she got 3 other council members on her side. This is humiliating. It's politics, and it'll be over soon. Sam clapped him on the shoulder. Abigail handled the church well. She'll handle this too. Inside, Martha moved through the cabin with efficient purpose. She checked Abigail's small room off the kitchen, noted the narrow bed, the sparse furnishings, checked Caleb's room, Lucy's room. She looked at the mended clothes, the clean floors, the bread rising by the fire. Finally, she sat at the kitchen table and pulled out a notebook. Miss Hartford, how long have you been here? 8 days. And your sleeping arrangements? I have the room off the kitchen. Mr. Stone and Lucy have rooms down the hall. You take meals together. We do. And your role in the household. I care for Lucy, Cook, clean, mend, teach Lucy her letters, help with whatever needs doing. Martha made notes. And the engagement? When did that occur? 3 days after I arrived, Mr. Stone proposed. I accepted. Quick courtship. Practical courtship. We're both adults who know what we need. I need a home and purpose. He needs help with his daughter and household. Seemed sensible, to be honest about it. Martha's pen paused. Do you love him? The question landed like a stone in still water. Abigail was quiet a long moment. I respect him. I admire his devotion to Lucy. I appreciate his honesty. Love, real love, takes time to build. We're building. And does he love you? You'd have to ask him. I'm asking you what you think. I think he's a good man trying to heal from terrible loss. I think he sees something in me worth choosing. Whether that's love or just desperate hope, time will tell. Martha set down her pen. You're honest. I like that. It's all I have. No, you have more than that. Martha gestured around the cabin. You have skill. You have patience. You have the respect of a 7-year-old child, which is harder to earn than most people realize. She paused. You also have the courage to stand in front of a church council and defend yourself without apology. That's rare. I learned it the hard way. The best lessons usually are. Martha stood, collected her things. I'll tell the council your arrangements are entirely appropriate, that Miss Hartford is a respectable woman maintaining proper decorum, that they should mind their own business and let you build your family in peace. Abigail's shoulders sagged with relief. Thank you. Don't thank me. Thank yourself for conducting yourself with dignity. Martha paused at the door. One more thing. That blue dress you're wearing. It was Sarah Stone's, wasn't it? Abigail's hand went to the fabric. It was. Lucy brought it to me. I altered it to fit. I hope that's not... It's perfect. Sarah was practical. She'd want her things used, not gathering dust. Martha's voice softened. You're not replacing her, Miss Hartford. You're honoring her by caring for what she loved most. There's a difference. She left. Abigail stood in the doorway watching the wagon pull away. Caleb approached. What did she say? That we're respectable. That the council should leave us alone. And that I'm not replacing Sarah. I'm honoring her. Caleb was quiet for a long beat. Sarah would have liked that. She hated waste. Hated things not being used. Lucy told me. About the cup with the chipped handle. She refused to throw it away, said broken things could still be useful. He looked at Abigail. She was talking about the cup, but I think she was talking about people too. Was she broken? Aren't we all some way? Abigail thought of her father, of the laudanum bottle, of the note that just said sorry. Yeah, I suppose we are. They stood together in the cold morning. The valley spread around them white and vast. Caleb. Yeah. When I said I'm building toward love, I meant it. I'm not there yet, but I want to be. He looked at her, something warm in his eyes. I want to be too. It wasn't a declaration, wasn't poetry or romance, but it was honest. And for now, that was enough. 2 weeks passed. The council's interference ended after Martha's report. Life settled into rhythm. Abigail taught Lucy reading and arithmetic at the kitchen table each morning. Afternoons she spent on household tasks, mending, cooking, preserving what food they had for the long winter ahead. Caleb worked from dawn to dark. The cattle needed constant attention. Fences needed mending. Supplies needed managing. But evenings belonged to all three of them. Supper together. Stories by the fire. Lucy's laughter filling spaces that had been silent too long. Abigail learned Caleb's silences. Learned when they meant he was thinking, and when they meant he was hurting. Learned to give him space when he needed it, and company when he didn't know he needed it. He learned her rhythms too. The way she hummed while cooking. The way she touched Lucy's hair when passing. The way she stared out the window, sometimes lost in thoughts of Boston and a father who'd betrayed her trust. They were learning each other, slowly, carefully. Then the letter came. Caleb found it in the post office when he went to town for supplies. His name in unfamiliar handwriting. Boston postmark. He opened it standing in the street. Mr. Stone, I am writing regarding Miss Abigail Hartford, who I understand is currently residing in your household. As her former employer, I feel it my duty to inform you of certain facts about her character and history. Miss Hartford was indeed employed as a teacher at the Beacon Hill Academy for young ladies. However, her termination was not solely due to her father's scandal, as she may have led you to believe. 3 months before her father's death, Miss Hartford was discovered in a compromising situation with Mr. Edmund Pierce, a married trustee of our institution. While Miss Hartford claimed innocence, the trustees felt her judgment was too poor to be trusted with the education of young ladies. I share this information not from malice, but from Christian duty. A man bringing a woman into his home, particularly into his daughter's life, deserves to know her full history. Yours in fellowship, Mrs. Beatrice Whitmore. Headmistress Caleb read it twice, 3 times. His hands shook. A compromising situation. A married man. Abigail had told him about her father, about the debts, about losing her position. She'd never mentioned this. Sam Boone approached, saw Caleb's face. What's wrong? Caleb handed him the letter without speaking. Sam read. His expression darkened. This is poison. It's from Boston, from her former employer. It's from Temperance Blackwell. Has to be. She found someone from Abigail's past willing to write lies. You don't know it's lies. Don't I? Sam grabbed Caleb's shoulder. Look at me. You know Abigail. You've lived with her for 3 weeks. Does this sound like the woman who takes care of Lucy, who speaks truth even when it costs her? I don't know what I know anymore. Then you're a damn fool. Sam stalked off, left Caleb standing in the street with poison in his hands. He should burn the letter, should trust the woman who'd proven herself daily. Instead, he folded it carefully, put it in his coat pocket, rode home in silence. Abigail knew something was wrong the moment Caleb entered the cabin. He didn't meet her eyes, didn't greet Lucy, just muttered something about putting away supplies and disappeared to the barn. Lucy looked up from her slate. Is Papa mad? I don't know, sweetheart. But she did know. Something had happened in town. She finished helping Lucy with her letters, started supper, waited. Caleb didn't come in until dark. When he did, he was quiet. Ate without speaking. Answered Lucy's chatter in monosyllables. After Lucy went to bed, Abigail found him on the porch. Same place they'd stood 2 weeks ago. But everything felt different now. What happened in town? Nothing. Don't lie to me, Caleb. I can see it all over you. He pulled the letter from his pocket, handed it to her. She read by lamplight from the window. Her face went white, then red, then white again. When she looked up, her eyes were bright with unshed tears. This is a lie. Is it? Yes. Her voice shook. I was never in a compromising situation with Edmund Pierce. He cornered me in the classroom after hours, tried to force himself on me. I fought him off and reported it to Mrs. Whitmore. She took his side because his family donates to the school. So there was an incident. There was an assault that I stopped. But you were alone with him, because he planned it that way. Caleb, he was a trustee, married, powerful. When I refused his advances, he told Mrs. Whitmore I'd tried to seduce him. She believed him because it was easier than believing a man of his standing would do such a thing. Caleb's jaw worked. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because it's humiliating. Because I'm ashamed that people believed him instead of me. Because... Her voice broke. Because I was afraid you'd believe him too. I don't know what to believe. The words hung between them like a blade. Abigail stepped back. I see. Abby. No, you don't get to Abby me right now. Tears spilled over. I told you everything about my father, about the debts, about losing everything. I came here with nothing and offered you complete honesty. But one poisoned letter from Boston and you're ready to believe the worst of me. I'm trying to protect Lucy. From what? From a woman who loves her. From someone who's shown up every day for 3 weeks and proved her worth through actions. I need to be sure. Sure of what? That I'm not a seductress who preys on married men, that I'm not trying to trap you into marriage for your vast wealth. Her laugh was bitter. Look around, Caleb. If I wanted security, I'd have stayed in Boston and married Edmund Pierce when he offered after his wife conveniently died. But I didn't. I chose honor instead. He offered to marry you. After his wife died of consumption. He said we could start fresh. Pretend the ugliness never happened. She wiped her eyes. I said no because I won't build a life on someone else's grave. I won't marry a man who tried to force me. I won't compromise my integrity for comfort. Caleb was quiet, processing. So I came here, Abigail continued, to the middle of Montana territory, to a man I'd never met, because your letters were honest and kind and offered a chance to build something real. Her voice dropped. But if you can't trust me, if one letter from my past is enough to undo everything we've been building, then I don't know what we're doing here. I'm trying to be careful. You're trying to protect yourself from being hurt again. I understand that, Caleb, I do. But you can't build a future if you're constantly looking over your shoulder at the past. She turned to go inside. Abigail, wait. I'm tired, Caleb. I'm going to bed. Tomorrow you can decide whether you believe me or not, whether I'm worth the risk or not, whether you're brave enough to trust someone who's already proven herself worthy. She left him standing in the dark. Inside, she made it to her room before the sobs came, pressed her face into the pillow to muffle the sound. She'd been a fool, had let herself hope, had let herself believe that maybe this time someone would choose her. But men always believed other men. Always took the word of someone with power over someone without. She should have known better. In the barn, Caleb sat on his workbench, the letter in one hand, his father's Bible in the other, Sarah's handwriting in the margin. Trust is a choice, not a certainty. Choose wisely, but choose. He thought about the woman who'd walked through a blizzard with nothing, who'd stood before the church council and defended herself with dignity, who'd held his daughter through nightmares and taught her to read and filled their cabin with warmth. Then he thought about Edmund Pierce, about how convenient it was that a letter arrived just when Temperance's other attempts had failed. Sam was right. This was poison, carefully placed, and he'd swallowed it. He looked at the letter again. Read it carefully this time. A compromising situation, not an affair, not seduction, just a situation. Poor judgment, not proof of wrongdoing, just judgment. The whole thing was smoke. Innuendo designed to create doubt, and he'd fallen for it. Christ. He was a fool. He stood, started toward the cabin, stopped, turned back. There was something he needed to do first, something he should have done the moment he read that letter. He grabbed paper, pen, started writing. Mrs. Whitmore, I received your letter regarding Miss Abigail Hartford. I'm writing to inform you that I have no interest in your opinions about her character, as they are clearly motivated by cowardice and a desire to protect a predator over his victim. Miss Hartford has proven herself a woman of extraordinary courage, integrity, and worth. Any institution that would dismiss her while protecting a man who assaulted her is unworthy of calling itself a place of education. Your Christian duty is noted and rejected. Do not contact me or Miss Hartford again. Caleb Stone. He'd mail it tomorrow, but tonight he needed to do something harder. He needed to apologize. The knock on Abigail's door was soft, tentative. Abby, can we talk? She'd been awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out how to pack her life into a carpet bag again. "It's late, Caleb." "I know, but I need to say this now, before I lose my nerve." She opened the door. He stood there, hat in his hands, face shadowed. "I'm sorry." The words came rough, unpracticed. "You're right, about all of it. I let one poisoned letter undo 3 weeks of proof. I let fear make me stupid." "Caleb, I'm not finished." He stepped closer. "I read that letter again, really read it, and I saw what I should have seen the first time. It's not proof of anything except that you had a powerful man attack you and a cowardly woman protect him instead of you." Fresh tears started. "You believe me. I believe you. I believe your actions. I believe the woman who held my daughter through nightmares and stood up to a church council and chose honesty even when it cost her everything." He touched her face, gentle. "I believe you, Abby. I'm sorry I needed convincing." She sagged against him. He caught her, held her while she cried into his shirt. "I was so scared you'd send me away." "I'm not sending you anywhere. You're home. This is home." "I don't have a home, Caleb. Everywhere I've lived, I've been pushed out eventually. Not here. Not with me." He pulled back to look at her. "I wrote Mrs. Whitmore. Told her exactly what I think of her and her institution. Told her never to contact us again." "You didn't have to do that." "Yeah, I did. Someone needed to stand up for you. Should have been done years ago." She laughed through tears. "You barely know me." "I know enough. Know you're brave and kind and honest. Know you love my daughter like she's yours. Know I'd be a damn fool to let you go." "But what if it happens again? What if someone else from my past shows up with poison? Then we face it together. That's what families do." Family, that word again. "Caleb, I need you to understand something. I can't promise I won't bring trouble. My past has a way of following me. My present has trouble enough without your past adding to it. We'll handle it." "How can you be so sure?" "Because you chose to walk through a blizzard to get here. Because you could have lied about everything and didn't. Because when the church council attacked you, you stood there and took it with your head high." He cupped her face in both hands. "You're the strongest person I know, Abby. And I want to spend whatever time I have learning to be half as brave as you." She kissed him, quick, impulsive. He froze, then kissed her back, slow, careful, like she was something precious. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "That was," she started. "Yeah. I shouldn't have. I'm glad you did." They stood close, foreheads touching, learning the shape of hope. From the hallway, a small voice. "Papa. Miss Abby, are you fighting?" They sprang apart. Lucy stood in her nightgown clutching her doll. "No, baby girl," Caleb said. "We're not fighting." "Good, because I had another bad dream, and I need both of you." Abigail knelt down. "What did you dream?" "That Miss Abby left, that you sent her away, and I never saw her again." Caleb joined them. "That's not going to happen." "Promise?" He looked at Abigail. She nodded. "Promise," they said together. Lucy launched herself at them. They caught her. The three of them in a tangle of arms and tears and tentative joy. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Temperance wouldn't stop. The town would keep judging. Winter would get harder before it got easier. But tonight, they had each other. And that was enough. Morning came too early. Caleb woke to find frost on the inside of the windows, and Lucy curled between him and Abigail in the big bed. Neither of them remembered carrying her there, but sometime in the night, she'd wedged herself between them, like mortar holding stones together. Abigail's eyes opened, met his across Lucy's dark curls. "Morning," she whispered. "Morning." They lay there a moment, the intimacy of it waking together child between them, breath clouding in the cold cabin, felt both strange and inevitable. "I should start the fire," Caleb said. "I should start breakfast." Neither moved. Lucy stirred, mumbled something about pancakes, burrowed deeper into the blankets. 5 more minutes, Abigail said. 5 more minutes, Caleb agreed. Outside, wind howled. Inside, warmth built slowly. Not from fire yet, but from something harder to name. When they finally rose, moving careful not to wake Lucy, their hands brushed. Caleb caught her fingers, held them for a heartbeat. About last night? We don't have to talk about it. I want to. I need you to know that kiss it meant something. To me. Abigail's cheeks colored. To me too. But I also need you to know I won't rush you. We can take this slow. Figure out what we're building before we name it. What if I don't want slow? The question hung between them, heavy with possibility. Before Caleb could answer, Lucy's voice called from the bedroom. Is anybody making breakfast, or do I have to do it myself? Abigail laughed, soft, real. Duty calls. She squeezed his hand once, then moved to the kitchen. Caleb stood in the cold cabin watching her work, the way she moved through his space like she belonged there, the way Lucy appeared in her nightgown and wrapped small arms around Abigail's waist without asking permission first. His family, not the one he'd planned, not the one he'd lost, but the one he was choosing, day by day, moment by moment. He grabbed his coat and headed to the barn. The cattle needed feeding. The world needed working. But for the first time in 2 years, the work felt like living instead of just surviving. The storm hit 3 days later. Caleb saw it coming that morning, sky-gone yellow-gray wind shifting from the northwest air pressure, dropping so fast his ears popped. He'd seen storms like this before. The winter of '84 had brought one that killed half the territory's cattle. Abby, we need to prepare. Now. She looked up from teaching Lucy fractions, saw his face, didn't question. What do you need? Every blanket we own, all the food we can carry, Lucy's warmest clothes. He grabbed rope from the hook. We're moving to the barn. House won't hold if this is what I think it is. How long? Could be 3 days. Could be a week. Lucy's eyes went wide. We're sleeping with the cows. We're sleeping where it's safe, baby girl. Come on, move fast. They worked like a machine. Abigail grabbed food, dried meat beans, flour coffee. Caleb hauled blankets and firewood. Lucy filled buckets with water, her small face serious with purpose. By the time the first flakes started falling, they'd transformed the barn's back corner into something almost livable. Blankets hung as walls, straw piled thick for insulation. The small stove Caleb kept for spring lambing already burning hot. The storm hit like God's fist. Wind screamed. Snow fell so thick Caleb couldn't see the cabin 30 yards away. Temperature dropped 20 degrees in an hour. They huddled in their makeshift shelter while the world went white. Lucy pressed against Abigail's side. I'm scared, Miss Abby. I know, sweetheart, but we're together. That's what matters. What if the barn falls down? Your papa built this barn. It's not going anywhere. Caleb checked the walls, the roof, the cattle lowing nervous in their stalls. Everything was holding. For now. He returned to find Abigail singing softly, some song from her childhood. Lucy's eyes were already drooping. That's pretty, he said. What is it? Something my mother used to sing, when I was scared of storms. Her voice caught. She'd hold me and sing and tell me that storms always pass. That morning always comes. Smart woman. She was. I wish you could have met her. I wish I could have met her too. Wish she could see what her daughter became. Abigail looked at him. A woman living in a barn during a blizzard. A woman brave enough to sing during one. Lucy fell asleep between them. The storm raged. They took turns keeping watch, one sleeping, while the other fed the stove and checked on the animals. During Caleb's watch around midnight, Abigail woke, found him staring at the barn doors, where wind forced snow through every crack. Can't sleep. Thinking. About Sarah. The night she died there was a storm like this. Not as bad, but close. She went into labor early. I couldn't get to town for the doctor. Couldn't get help. His voice was flat, distant. I tried. I did everything I knew how, but I didn't know enough. Abigail moved to sit beside him. Not touching. Just close. It wasn't your fault. People keep saying that. Doesn't make it feel true. What does your heart tell you? My heart tells me I failed her. Failed our son. Failed everyone who depended on me. Your heart's a liar sometimes. He looked at her. Sharp. She met his gaze steady. I mean it. Grief lies. Makes us believe we're responsible for things beyond our control. Makes us carry guilt that isn't ours to carry. You sound like you know something about that. I do. After my father died, I spent months thinking I should have seen it coming. Should have noticed he was stealing. Should have stopped him somehow. She paused. But I was teaching school. Living my own life. How was I supposed to know what he did in his office? How was I supposed to prevent choices he made in secret? But you knew him. You should have seen the signs. And you knew Sarah. Should you have known her body would give out? Should you have had medical training beyond what any rancher has? Her voice gentled. We can't hold ourselves responsible for things we couldn't control, Caleb. We can only do our best with what we know in the moment we're given. He was quiet a long time. She was in pain for hours, screaming. I held her hand and watched her suffer and couldn't do a damn thing to help. You stayed with her. You didn't run. You didn't leave her alone. That's not nothing. It felt like nothing. I'm sure it did. But love doesn't stop pain, Caleb. It just makes sure we don't face it alone. She reached for his hand, held it in the darkness. Sarah didn't die alone. She died with someone who loved her holding her hand. That's worth something. His throat closed. He couldn't speak. Abigail just sat with him, holding his hand. While the storm raged and ghosts whispered, and slowly, something in his chest began to ease. Thank you, he managed finally. For what? For not letting me carry this alone anymore. That's what families do. They share the weight. Family. There was that word again. This time it didn't scare him quite so much. Day 2 of the storm brought new problems. One of the cows went into labor. Breech birth. Calf stuck. Caleb worked fast. Abigail held the lantern and kept Lucy back. The cow bellowed. The calf wasn't moving. Caleb, is it? Alive? Barely. I need to turn it. Need room to work. He stripped to his shirt sleeves despite the cold. Reached in. The cow kicked. Abigail grabbed Lucy, pulled her back to safety. Easy, Mama, easy now. I'm trying to help. Caleb's voice was low, soothing. His hands worked careful, feeling for the calf's position, finding the legs, turning. The cow screamed. Lucy buried her face in Abigail's shoulder. Then movement. The calf shifted. Caleb pulled. Steady. Careful. One leg. 2 legs. Head. The calf slid out in a rush of fluid and blood. It didn't move. No, come on. Caleb grabbed straw, rubbed the calf's sides, its face. Breathe, damn you, breathe. Nothing. Lucy started crying. It's dead. Like the baby. Like Mama's baby. Abigail's arms tightened around her. Shh, sweetheart. Let your papa work. Caleb kept rubbing. Kept working. Desperation making his movements rough. Come on. The calf's chest heaved. Once. Twice. It coughed. Drew breath. Caleb sat back on his heels, covered in blood and birth fluid and exhaustion. You did it, Papa! Lucy broke free, ran to him. You saved it! He caught her, held her with shaking arms. Yeah, I did. Abigail approached, knelt beside them. That was incredible. That was luck. No, that was skill, knowledge, refusal to give up. She touched his face. You knew exactly what to do. You saved that calf's life. I couldn't save my son's. The words came out broken, raw. Lucy looked up at him. Papa. My son, your brother, he was breached too, like this calf. But I didn't know what to do. Didn't know how to help your mama. Didn't. His voice broke entirely. Abigail pulled him close, arms around him, let him shake with silent sobs while Lucy held onto his neck. You did what you could, Abigail whispered. With what you knew. That's all anyone can do. It wasn't enough. It was everything you had. That's enough. They sat in the straw, covered in blood and tears, while the new calf nursed and the storm raged, and healing happened in small, painful increments. Later, when Lucy slept and the calf was stable, Caleb cleaned up at the water barrel. Abigail brought him coffee. You okay? Not sure I know what okay feels like anymore. Fair enough. They stood in silence, the intimacy of shared crisis settling around them. Abby, can I ask you something? Anything. Why'd you really come here? And don't say second chances. That's part of it, but there's more. I can feel it. She was quiet a long time. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. Because I was tired of being alone. Tired of being the woman people whispered about. Tired of carrying my father's shame and Edmund Pierce's lies and everyone's judgment. She looked at him. I came here because your letters made me believe that maybe somewhere there was a place where I could just be Abigail. Not the disgraced teacher. Not the embezzler's daughter. Just me. And have you found that here? I'm starting to. You and Lucy, you see me. Not my past. Not what people say about me. Just who I am right now in this moment. Tears threatened. That's worth more than any fortune, Caleb. Worth more than reputation or respectability or anything else the world offers. He set down his coffee, pulled her into his arms, held her while she cried. You're not alone anymore, Abby. I promise you that. Whatever comes, you're not alone. She clung to him. This man who'd lost everything and somehow found room for her anyway. Neither are you, she whispered back. They stood holding each other while the storm beat at the walls. Two broken people learning to be whole together. It wasn't romance. Not yet. Not the kind of love poets wrote about. But it was real. It was honest. It was theirs. And that was enough. Yeah. Day 4. The storm broke. Caleb woke to silence. Absolute, terrifying silence. He shoved open the barn door. Sunlight hit his eyes like a physical blow. The world was white, completely white. Snow drifts 10 feet high. The cabin buried to its roof. Jesus Christ! Behind him, Abigail appeared. Stopped. Stared. That's not good. That's a damn disaster. He started toward the cabin, waded through snow to his waist. Everything we own is in there. Food, clothes, Lucy's things. Can we dig it out? Not in 1 day, maybe not in 3. He turned. How much food do we have left? 2 days, maybe 3 if we're careful. Town's 4 hours away, in good weather. In this, we need help. From who Sam's ranch is even further than town. Everyone's dealing with their own storm damage. Lucy appeared in the barn doorway. What's wrong? Caleb forced a smile. Nothing, baby girl, just figuring things out. But Lucy wasn't fooled. She'd learned to read tension in adult voices. We're in trouble, aren't we? Caleb looked at Abigail. She nodded slightly. He knelt to Lucy's level. Yeah, we're in trouble. But we've been in trouble before and figured it out. We'll figure this out too. How? I'm going to ride to town. Get supplies. Get help for digging out the cabin. What if you get stuck in the snow? I won't. What if you freeze? I'll be careful. What if... Abigail knelt beside him. Lucy, sweetheart, Your papa's the strongest, smartest man I know. He's going to ride to town, get what we need, and come back. We're going to wait here, keep the fire going, keep the animals fed, and when he gets back, we're all going to dig out that cabin together." Lucy looked between them. "Promise." "Promise," they said together. Caleb rose, started gathering gear, warmest clothes, rope, matches. Abigail followed him to where he was saddling his horse. "This is dangerous." "I know. You could freeze, get lost. The horse could break a leg." "I know." "Caleb?" He turned, pulled her close, kissed her. Hard, quick. No hesitation this time. When he pulled back, her eyes were wide. "In case I don't make it back, I needed you to know I'm glad you came. Glad you walked through that blizzard. Glad you stayed despite everything. You've given me and Lucy more in a month than we've had in 2 years. So thank you. For that. For everything. Don't talk like you're not coming back." "I'm coming back. But if I don't—" "You're coming back." Her voice was fierce. "You hear me? You're coming back because I didn't survive Boston and scandal and walking through a blizzard just to lose you to snow. You're coming back because Lucy needs you. Because I—" She stopped. Couldn't say it. But he heard it anyway. "I'll come back," he promised. He kissed her again. Softer this time. Like a vow. Then he mounted up. Looked at Lucy standing in the barn door, small and scared. "Take care of Miss Abby for me, baby girl. She's gonna need you." "I will, Papa." He turned the horse, rode toward town. Behind him, Abigail and Lucy stood watching until he disappeared into white. Then they went back inside the barn, fed the fire, waited, and prayed. Hours passed like years. Abigail kept Lucy busy. They milked the cow, fed the chickens that had survived, cleaned stalls, told stories, sang songs. But always they were listening, waiting for hoofbeats. By nightfall, Caleb hadn't returned. Lucy's calm cracked. He should be back by now. The snow's deep. It's slow going. What if he's hurt? What if he's frozen somewhere and we don't know where? Your papa's smart. He knows how to survive. Mama was smart too. She still died. The words hung in the air. True. Terrible. Abigail pulled Lucy close. Yes, she did. Sometimes smart isn't enough. Sometimes bad things happen anyway. But we can't live our lives assuming the worst. We have to hope. We have to trust. I'm scared, Miss Abby. I am too, sweetheart. I'm terrified. The honesty seemed to help. Lucy relaxed slightly. What do we do when we're scared? We hold each other. We keep the fire burning. We wait together. They curled up in the blankets, the animals shifting in their stalls. The fire crackling low. Lucy fell asleep against Abigail's shoulder. Abigail stayed awake, watching the barn door, listening for sounds that didn't come. She thought about Boston, about her father's body in the study, about standing at his funeral alone because everyone else had abandoned her. She thought about the stagecoach, the 2-mile walk through snow, collapsing at Caleb's feet. She thought about every moment since, every small kindness, every shared meal. Every time Lucy called her Miss Abby with that particular tone that meant family. She thought about Caleb's kiss, the promise in it. I'm glad you came. She was glad too. Even now. Even scared and alone and waiting. Because for the first time in her life, she had something worth waiting for. Around midnight, she heard it. Hoofbeats, voices, light blooming outside. She shook Lucy awake. He's back. He's back. They ran to the door, threw it open. Caleb sat on his horse, barely upright. Sam Boone rode beside him. Behind them, 3 more men with wagons loaded with supplies. Told you I'd come back, Caleb managed, then slid from the saddle. Abigail and Sam caught him before he hit the ground. His lips were blue, hands frozen, coherent but hypothermic. Get him inside, Sam ordered. Mary's making soup, brought blankets. We'll have this place warm in no time. They carried Caleb to the makeshift shelter. Abigail stripped off his frozen outer layers, while Sam built up the fire. Lucy brought every blanket they had. Mary Boone appeared with hot soup and practical competence. He rode 6 hours in that cold, stubborn fool, but he made it. Caleb's teeth chattered. Had to. Made a promise. Abigail held the soup to his lips. Drink. Slowly. He obeyed, color slowly returning to his face. Lucy climbed onto his lap, wrapped her small arms around him. Don't scare me like that again, Papa. I'll try not to, baby girl. Sam pulled Abigail aside. He told me everything. About you, about the situation, about that poisoned letter. Told me if he didn't make it back, I was to make sure you and Lucy were taken care of. Abigail's eyes burned. He said a lot more too. About how you're the best thing that happened to him since Sarah died. How you've given him reason to keep living instead of just surviving. Sam's voice softened. He loves you, Miss Hartford. Might not have said it straight, but it's there. I love him too. And Lucy. They're my family now. Good. Because they need you. And from what I can see, you need them just as much. She looked at Caleb, warming slowly by the fire. Lucy on his lap, looking at Abigail like she'd hung the moon. Yeah, she whispered. I really do. The men stayed the night. In the morning, they started digging out the cabin. It took 2 days. But when they finished, the cabin stood intact. Cold, but whole. They moved back inside. Real beds. Real kitchen. The relief of familiar space. That night, after Lucy was asleep, Caleb found Abigail on the porch. Same place they always seemed to find each other. Thank you for keeping Lucy safe while I was gone. Thank you for coming back. I made a promise. You keep your promises. I try. He moved closer. Abby, there's something I need to say. Should have said it before I left, but I was scared. Scared of what? Of this. Of feeling something real again. Of risking my heart after I buried it with Sarah. He took her hand. But these past weeks, watching you with Lucy, learning who you are, surviving storms together, I realized something. I'm more scared of losing you than I am of loving you. Her breath caught. Caleb, I love you, Abigail Hartford. Not because you're convenient or practical or because Lucy needs a mother, but because you're brave and honest and kind. Because you walked through a blizzard to get here and stayed through everything that came after. Because you make me want to be better than I am. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I love you too. I've been trying not to. Trying to be practical, but I can't help it. You and Lucy, you're everything I didn't know I needed. He kissed her, soft, sweet, full of promise. When they broke apart, both were smiling. So what now? She asked. Now we get married. For real. Not just arrangement, not just practical, but because we choose each other. Soon as the road's clear, I want you to be my wife, Abby. Want Lucy to call you Mama if she wants to. Want to build a life together. A real one. Yes, yes to all of it. He pulled her close. They stood together in the cold Montana night. The valley spread around them, white and vast and full of possibility. Inside, Lucy slept safe and warm. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. The cabin needed repairs. Supplies needed managing. Winter still had months to run. But they'd face it together, not as strangers making arrangements, but as family. Chosen, earned, real. And that made all the difference. The roads cleared 2 weeks later. Caleb rode to town alone, returning with Reverend Matthews and a piece of paper that made everything official. Marriage license, signed, witnessed, legal. Abigail held it with shaking hands. February 14th. You got it dated for Valentine's Day." Seemed fitting. He touched her face. "You're the best gift I never knew to ask for." "That's terribly romantic for a practical rancher." "Don't tell anyone. I got a reputation to maintain." She laughed, kissed him. The ease of it still surprised her how natural it felt to reach for him now. How right. Lucy burst through the door, snow on her boots. "Papa, Miss Abby, Sam, and Mary are here, and they brought—" She stopped, stared at the paper in Abigail's hands. "Is that what I think it is?" Caleb knelt to her level. "It's a marriage license. Means Miss Abby and I can get married legal. Make our family official." He paused. "How do you feel about that?" Lucy's face went through several emotions. Uncertainty, hope, fear, finally landing on something that looked like relief. "Does this mean she stays forever?" "If she'll have us, yeah. And I can call her Mama if I want to." Abigail's throat closed. She knelt beside Caleb. "Only if you want to, sweetheart. Your Mama Sarah, she'll always be your mama. Nothing changes that. But if you want me to be your mama too, I'd be honored. You can have two mamas. One in heaven watching over you, one here holding your hand." Lucy thought about this with the seriousness of a child making life decisions. "Can I think about it?" "Take all the time you need." Lucy nodded, then threw her arms around both of them. "I'm glad you're getting married. I'm glad Miss Abby's staying." Outside, Sam Boone's voice called. "Anyone planning to help unload this wagon, or should I do it myself?" They broke apart laughing, went to greet their guests. Sam and Mary had brought supplies, food, fabric things lost in the storm. But more than that, they'd brought community. Word had spread about Caleb's desperate ride through the blizzard, about the family that had survived 4 days in a barn, about the mail-order bride who'd proven herself worth more than gold. The tide in town had turned. Not completely. Temperance Blackwell still had her circle, but enough people had decided that Abigail Hartford was exactly what Caleb Stone needed. Mary pulled Abigail aside while the men unloaded. "I brought you something special." She opened a bundle. Inside, a wedding dress. Simple, white, beautiful. "Mary, I can't accept this." "It was mine. 23 years ago. I've been saving it for someone who needed it." She pressed it into Abigail's hands. "You need it. And I want you to have it." Abigail's vision blurred. "Thank you. Thank you so much. You've given that family hope again. Given that little girl her smile back. Given Caleb a reason to stop punishing himself." Mary squeezed her hands. "You deserve happiness too, Abigail. You deserve a proper wedding and a white dress and people who celebrate you." The wedding was set for the following Sunday. 1 week to prepare. Abigail spent it in a blur of activity, altering Mary's dress to fit, helping Lucy make flower crowns from dried herbs since nothing bloomed in February, planning a simple meal for after the ceremony. Caleb spent it on the ranch, mending what the storm had broken, but also carving. Working wood late into the night in the barn. Lucy spent it asking questions. "Will you and Papa kiss at the wedding? Do I have to wear a fancy dress? Can I hold the flowers? Will Mama be watching from heaven?" That last question stopped Abigail cold. "I think she will be, sweetheart. I think she'll be so happy to see your Papa smiling again, to see you with people who love you." "Do you think she likes you?" "I hope so. I'd like to think she'd approve of someone who loves you and your Papa as much as I do." Lucy seemed satisfied with that, went back to making flower crowns. But the question haunted Abigail. What would Sarah Stone think of her? The woman who'd taken her place in Caleb's bed in Lucy's life in the home she'd built the night before the wedding. Caleb found her standing at Sarah's grave. It was behind the cabin, marked with a simple stone. Sarah Elizabeth Stone, beloved wife and mother, 1859 to 1885. "Thought I'd find you here." Abigail didn't turn. "I wanted to pay my respects, to tell her—" She stopped. I don't know what to tell her. Caleb moved to stand beside her. Tell her the truth. That's all Sarah ever wanted from anyone. The truth is, I'm terrified. Terrified I won't measure up. Won't be the wife you need. Won't be the mother Lucy deserves. The truth is, you already are both those things. But what if I fail? What if 6 months from now you realize you made a mistake? He turned her to face him. You want to know what Sarah would say if she could talk to you right now? What? She'd say thank you. Thank you for loving her daughter. Thank you for making me whole again. Thank you for not being her because she wouldn't want me spending my life with a ghost. His voice roughened. Sarah was practical. She'd want Lucy raised by someone who's here. She'd want me to find happiness again. She'd want our family to heal. How can you be so sure? Because I knew her. Because the last thing she said to me before she died was, "Promise me you'll live, Caleb. Not just survive. Live." He pulled Abigail close. You make me live, Abby. You and Lucy. You make every day worth waking up for. She buried her face in his chest. I'm still scared. Me too. But we'll be scared together. They stood there in the cold Montana night, at the grave of a woman who'd loved before Abigail, whose loss had nearly destroyed the man now holding her, but whose memory Abigail realized didn't threaten what they were building. It blessed it. Thank you, Sarah, Abigail whispered, for raising a good man, for loving Lucy so well, for making room for me to love them too. The wind picked up, carrying snow that sparkled in moonlight. Caleb's arms tightened around her. Come on. Tomorrow's a big day. You need rest. They walked back to the cabin hand in hand. Behind them, if anyone had been watching, they might have seen something impossible. A shimmer in the air above Sarah's grave. A warmth in the frozen ground. But probably it was just snow catching light. Probably. Sunday morning dawned, clear and bright. Caleb woke early, too nervous to sleep. He found Lucy already awake, sitting at the kitchen table in her best dress. Can't sleep either. She shook her head. Papa, are you sure about this? His stomach dropped. About marrying Miss Abby? Yeah, baby girl. I'm sure. Why aren't you? I'm sure I want her to stay. I love her. But... Lucy's voice went small. What if Mama's mad at me for being happy without her? Caleb sat beside his daughter, pulled her onto his lap like he hadn't done in months. Your mama loved you more than anything in the world. You know what would make her mad if you spent your whole life sad because she's gone. She'd want you to be happy, to laugh, to have a mama who's here to help you grow up. But I miss her. I miss her too. Every single day. But missing her doesn't mean we can't love Miss Abby too. Hearts don't run out of room, Lucy. They just grow bigger to fit everyone in. Lucy thought about this. So I can love Mama and Miss Abby both. You can love them both. Different, but both real. She nodded slowly. Okay. Then I've decided something. What's that? I want to call Miss Abby Mama. Not all the time. Maybe just sometimes. But I want her to know she's my mama too. Caleb's eyes burned. You tell her that today? I will. After the wedding. Is that okay? That's more than okay, baby girl. That's perfect. The church was full. Not packed, but fuller than Abigail had expected. Sam and Mary Boone in the front row. The Reverend ready at the altar. Townspeople who'd decided to give her a chance, filling pews behind them. And in the back arms, crossed face like stone Temperance Blackwell. Abigail saw her as she entered on Sam's arm. Sam had offered to give her away, since her father couldn't. She'd accepted gratefully. Don't look at her, Sam murmured. Look at Caleb. She did, and everything else fell away. Caleb stood at the altar in his Sunday suit. Dark jacket, clean shirt, hair trimmed, eyes locked on her like she was the only person in the world. Beside him, Lucy clutched a bouquet of dried flowers and herbs. Her smile was bright enough to light the church. Abigail walked toward them. Each step felt like coming home. When she reached the altar, Sam placed her hand in Caleb's. "Take care of her," Sam said. "She's precious cargo." "I know," Caleb replied. "I will." Reverend Matthews opened his Bible. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. I object." Temperance Blackwell stood. Every head turned. "This wedding is a travesty, a mockery. This woman came here with nothing under false pretenses and has manipulated her way into Mr. Stone's home and heart. I cannot, in good conscience, Mrs. Blackwell." Reverend Matthews' voice was sharp. "Unless you have legal grounds to stop this wedding, sit down." "I have moral grounds. She's a fortune hunter, a seductress, a woman of questionable character who—" Charlotte Blackwell stood. "Aunt Temperance, that's enough." Her aunt whirled. "Charlotte, sit down." "No." Charlotte's voice was quiet but firm. "I've sat down for you my whole life, done what you wanted, courted who you wanted. But this is cruel and wrong." She turned to the congregation. "I've known Mr. Stone for 2 years, since his wife died. He was a broken man, drowning in grief, failing his daughter because he couldn't see past his pain." She looked at Abigail. Miss Hartford arrived, and within weeks everything changed. Lucy smiles again. Caleb smiles again. They're a family again. "She's an opportunist," Temperance hissed. "She's a blessing, and if you can't see that, you're blinded by your own schemes." Charlotte turned to Caleb and Abigail. "Please continue. Don't let my aunt ruin this." She sat. The church was silent. Caleb squeezed Abigail's hand. "Reverend, please go on." Matthews cleared his throat. "If there are no further interruptions." "There won't be," Sam Boone said. He stood, turned to face Temperance. "Mrs. Blackwell, you can stay quiet or you can leave. Those are your options. Choose." Temperance's face went red, then white. She grabbed her things and stormed out. The doors slammed behind her. Abigail let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Caleb touched her face. "You okay?" "I'm perfect. Let's get married." Matthews smiled. "Where was I?" "Ah, yes. Marriage is not to be entered into lightly, but reverently, deliberately, and in accordance with the purposes for which it was instituted by God." The ceremony continued. The words washed over Abigail like water, like baptism, like new beginning. "Do you, Caleb Stone, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." "Do you, Abigail Hartford, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" "I do." "Then by the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. Caleb, you may kiss your bride." He did, gentle, sweet, full of promise. The church erupted in applause. Lucy tugged on Abigail's dress. "Are you my mama now?" Abigail knelt. "Only if you want me to be." "I want you to be. I decided. You're my mama Abby, and Sarah's my mama Sarah. I have 2 mamas now." Abigail pulled her close, tears streaming. "I love you, sweetheart, so much." "I love you too, Mama Abby." Caleb joined their embrace, the 3 of them holding each other, while the congregation watched and applauded and celebrated. A family, not perfect, not without scars, but whole, real, chosen. The celebration afterward was simple. Food at Sam and Mary's house, dancing, laughter, community. Charlotte Blackwell approached Abigail during a quiet moment. "I'm sorry about my aunt. She's not a bad woman, just controlling, angry. She had plans that didn't include you. I understand, and thank you for speaking up. I should have done it sooner, should have told her weeks ago that Mr. Stone and I weren't suited, that I could see he loved you." Charlotte smiled. "You're good for them. Anyone with eyes can see it." "Thank you. That means more than you know." Charlotte hesitated. Can I ask you something? Of course. How did you do it? How did you walk into a hostile town, face all that judgment, and not run? Abigail thought about the question. Because running was all I'd done for 6 months. After my father died, I ran from Boston. Ran from the scandal. Ran from everything. But when I got here, when I saw Caleb and Lucy, I realized I was tired of running. Tired of letting other people's opinions dictate my life. She paused. So I stayed. I fought. I proved them wrong by being exactly who I am. You're brave. I'm stubborn. There's a difference. Charlotte laughed. Maybe, but it worked. As evening approached, Caleb found Abigail on the porch. The party continued inside, but they'd slipped away for a moment of quiet. Mrs. Stone. He tested the name. Sounds right. It does, doesn't it? She leaned against him. Thank you for today, for defending me, for choosing me. Thank you for letting me, for seeing past the broken widower to the man who wanted to heal. You were never broken, Caleb, just hurt. There's a difference. He kissed the top of her head. What do you think happens now? Now we live, we raise Lucy, we work the ranch, we build the life we promised each other. Sounds simple when you say it like that. The best things usually are. Inside, Lucy's laughter rang out, clear, joyful, the sound of a child who felt safe again. She called you Mama today, Caleb said. She did. How'd that feel? Terrifying, wonderful. Right. Abigail looked up at him. I'll never replace Sarah. I don't want to. But I can love Lucy like she's mine. Because she is mine now. She is. And I'm yours. And you're ours. He pulled her close. We're a family, Abby. Strange and patched together, and not what any of us planned. But real. Real, she agreed. They stood together watching the sunset over the Montana Valley. The land was still frozen. Winter still held the world in its grip. But somewhere beneath the snow, spring was building. Green things waited to push through frozen ground. Life preparing to burst forth. Just like them. That night, after the guests had gone, and Lucy was asleep in her bed, Caleb led Abigail to their room. Their first night as husband and wife. She was nervous. He could see it in the way her hands twisted together. We don't have to. I mean, if you're not ready. She kissed him quiet. I'm ready. I'm just nervous. Me too. You are. It's been 2 years since Sarah. Since I. He stopped. I don't want to disappoint you. You won't. We'll figure it out together. She touched his face. That's what we do, right? Figure things out together. Right. They were gentle with each other. Careful. Learning the geography of new skin. New responses. New ways of being together. It wasn't perfect. There were awkward moments. Nervous laughter. Adjustments. But it was theirs. It was honest. It was the beginning of something neither had to face alone anymore. Afterward, they lay tangled in blankets. Abigail's head on Caleb's chest. His hand in her hair. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. Think we'll make it. Think we'll build something that lasts. I think we already have. Everything else is just details. She smiled against his skin. Just details. Just details. They fell asleep like that. Two people who'd walked through blizzards, literal and metaphorical, and found each other on the other side. Spring came late to Montana that year, but when it came with force. Snow melted, creeks ran high, green pushed up through brown earth, and on Sarah Stone's grave, flowers bloomed, purple and gold crocuses that hadn't been planted, hadn't been there the day before. Lucy found them first, called for Caleb and Abigail to come see. They stood together, the three of them looking at the impossible flowers. Mama Sarah sent them, Lucy said with complete certainty. She's saying she's happy for us. Caleb's throat closed. He knelt by the grave, touched the delicate petals. Abigail knelt beside him. "They're beautiful." "They were her favorite. I tried to plant them after she died, but nothing would grow. I thought they were gone forever." "Maybe they were just waiting," Abigail said softly. "Waiting for the right time, for warmth to come back." He looked at her, understanding the metaphor. Maybe. Lucy picked one flower carefully. "Can I take it to Mama Abby for her hair?" "I think Mama Sarah would like that," Caleb said. Lucy tucked the purple bloom behind Abigail's ear, stepped back to admire her work. "Perfect. Now you have something from Mama Sarah and something from me." Abigail pulled her close. "I have everything I need. Both my mamas." They walked back to the cabin hand in hand. Behind them, the flowers swayed in the breeze. Inside, Abigail started breakfast. Caleb made coffee. Lucy set the table. Domestic rituals that had become sacred. Small moments that built a life. Through the window they could see the valley. Green returning. Life returning. "Caleb," Abigail said. "I was thinking." "Dangerous occupation." She swatted him with a dish towel. "I was thinking we should plant a garden. Vegetables. More flowers. Make this place really ours." "Our place," he agreed. "Our home." "Our family," Lucy added. They stood in the kitchen. Morning light streaming through windows. Coffee brewing. The smell of bread rising. Nothing extraordinary. Nothing remarkable. Just three people who'd found each other in the coldest winter. Who'd chosen each other when the world said they shouldn't. Who'd built something real from rags and hope and stubborn refusal to give up. Abigail looked at Caleb, at Lucy, at the home they'd made together. She'd arrived with nothing. 2 patched dresses and her dignity. She'd been judged, attacked, doubted. But she'd stayed. She'd fought. She'd loved. And she'd won. Not wealth, not status, not what the world counted as success, but something better, something real. A home, a family, a place where she was chosen every single day. Worth, she'd learned, wasn't measured by what you owned or where you came from. It was measured by who you became when everything was stripped away, by whether you kept your honor when it cost you everything, by whether you loved when it was hard, stayed when it was easier to run, fought for what mattered. Caleb touched her hand, squeezed once. She squeezed back. Outside, spring continued its work. Inside, a family sat down to breakfast. And in Montana territory, in a cabin on a ranch where winter had nearly destroyed everything, hope bloomed bright and fierce and impossible to kill. The mail-order bride who'd arrived in rags had found her worth. And the broken rancher who'd opened his door had found his heart again. Sometimes the coldest winters break hardest. But what grows after, strengthened by survival, refined by fire, rooted in truth, that's what lasts. That's what builds empires from ashes. That's what turns strangers into family. That's love. Real. Chosen. Earned. Theirs.